Welcome to another edition of Monday Madness. It's so funny. There's this individual I've talked about before. How one of the worst parts of the COVID saga has been the stay-at-home order. That for some reason with this one person just will never end. And like a lot of mornings, if I wake up, it's because of how loud they are when they're on the phone for their supposed job. And on a day where they don't even have to work, they're still loud as hell. So we know that it even without the that requirement, they would still be here flapping their gums. It's really comedic because it pokes a hole in that narrative. I don't know. It just seems like whenever people do stuff that's rude, they always try to like preface it as something they have to do because of some exterior requirement. It's like, no, you don't have to be loud. You also don't have to have your door open all day. I mean, it's just these are things you choose to do that are obnoxious. I really wish they would own up to it and just say, look, I'm a prick, I'm annoying, and that's just what I am. And I'd have a lot more respect for them, because they try to hide behind this fake image of being some decent person who is just having to do these things, but they don't have to. They choose to act that way. Anyways, there's apparently some kind of shooting that's going on. I woke up to it. It's about, they said 9 people were shot. Um, I don't think we've ever had a notable, like, I can't remember from the top of my head, but I can't remember any shootings on 4th of July before. As any I'm sure random people in the US do all kind of crazy stuff with how many guns they have, but I don't remember there being like some major um attack on people on this day. So I guess there's always time to do best of record. Mm. Oh, B41. Never seen that person before. They have all kind of different people that just pop up out of nowhere. That was the funniest part about that video from yesterday. Like a lot of those guys that start writing that weird stuff, they really do seem to just like appear out of nowhere. Like it's always someone you've never seen before that is antagonistic, because there's a lot of people that they might show up every like once a month or twice, I don't know, every 6 months. But at least I can say, oh, I remember that person. So if they start writing something confronted, which usually they don't, um, it doesn't feel as out of left field. But these guys really do just pop up like out of nowhere. Like you would think they were created in a factory and their mission is just come on here and defend chicks until the end of time, no matter how insane what they do is. It's really sad. It's always sad when you try to have a reasonable discussion about stuff and people get bogged down in things that don't matter. Like, "Oh, I don't like the shirt you're wearing." Like, okay, good for you. Yeah, they always write some weird stuff. Mm. I don't even know what to really say about. I mean, I've never had an attachment to 4th of July because I don't use fireworks. Um, a lot of times I'll have some relative that will just make a bunch of food, but it's I don't know. I guess I've with every holiday outside of maybe Halloween and Christmas and arguably Thanksgiving, they just kind of like fly by. They're just whatever to me. Yeah, it really sucks that I don't know, I just don't have as fond memories of it as some other people do. Every time I think of the 4th of July, I always think of the very strange coincidence. When I say strange, I'm not trying to like imply any conspiracy theory stuff. Just like, wow, that actually happened. That what was it? Jefferson and Adams died on the same day, and it was the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. I just, I always thought that was so because I don't know. I guess maybe you have people that die every day, but for two presidents that serve back to back to pass away on the exact same day is just that's never happened since. That's how rare and like just out of the closest example we've had of that since then was Truman and Johnson because they died a month apart. Even though Truman's death was from like actually living to a decent number of years and Johnson's was out of nowhere with that heart attack. But yeah, that's usually the first thing I think about because I find that to be such a poetic coincidence, like to have Adams as he's going out say that Jefferson still lives, but then Jefferson had actually died before him that same day. So there's a lot of little stuff that like that, I've always been intrigued by. Not even just on the standpoint of like, oh, political history, but just you have to sometimes wonder, like with coincidences like that, is there some kind of preordained fate that causes those types of things to occur? Just like when stuff lines up so much, you're like this is kind of getting a little strange. Like out of all the days they could have died, it was on the same one, few hours apart. It's kind of like how how once McCain got cancer and he died on was it August 25th about 3 years ago. A lot of news organizations were running these articles that pointed out that he had the same cancer that Ted Kennedy had and died on the same day, except 9 years later, August 25th. So that's really crazy, especially when you consider just how much stuff they had in common with each other. Like they're both longtime U.S. senators that ran for president, and, didn't win, um, who were married at least twice. Um, it's who are both the senior senator from their state. I don't know. Again, it's just those coincidences I find so interesting, like just how people can parallel each other. Some of this stuff just it lines up way too much for me. Just be like, oh yeah, it's just another old coincidence. Yeah, my stomach is hurting a little bit, so I might get off of here prematurely. It depends on how I feel. I just drank some water, so it should help it, but I'm not. I don't know. It seems like every time you have something that you think is going to help your stomach, it doesn't. Like it just plays with it. Yeah. I had another idea for a video. I'm trying to remember what it was because I usually will just like mention what it is and then eventually put it up. I guess maybe we could do one on the the like obsession that people have with race. And what I mean by that is a lot of times if I do a video, I don't really talk about ethnicity, like almost never. I just will talk about the news or like label some genuine criticism, just in general critiques at chicks. And it's like you have a lot of people who try to insert racial stuff into that, like they'll leave like racial slurs, or they'll bring up that you're this, and it's like I guess I always look at it like what I find so interesting is if you have a person who's just talking about something in this kind of universal way, like, hey, I'm sick of this, and then people are like, that person who said they're sick of this is black, like they find a way to like inject things into a discussion that have almost no bearing on the actual discussion. I still think it's hilarious that you actually have people who try to like sit here and pretend that someone's personality matters. Like, you are too boring. Yeah, I'm sure every single guy that gets with a woman is this amazing comedic genius and has them laughing every 5 seconds. So that over analysis stuff needs to die. Like, just I've really never sat here and just thought about like, oh, this person's not pretty enough, because it's not my place to determine if someone's good enough to go on a date with another person. Which is why I said that I've never told another male at any point in my entire life, oh, this woman you like, oh, she's out of your league. Because again, it's not my place to determine that. I mean, you listen to the pricks on here, they make all the chicks sound like they're out of your league. The women you're approaching are probably too good looking. Yeah, that's it. It's really funny too, because it's like some of these chicks, like I always think about that one chick from when I was in 10th grade. I asked out and she said no, she was in like 12th grade. It's really funny to think about how like that would probably be, out of any of the ones I approached when I was in high school, my favorite one as far as like the way she looked and acted. And it's like all the ones after that are just part of this never ending what do you call it, like pickup team, like they're not your first choice or your fifth choice or your 20th, like. But that's why it's so funny when they start making the claims about they're too good, because really you could say that about pretty much any of these broads, like even the ones that I would not be attracted to because of overweight, still have multiple men that are willing to date them. Men don't have, they don't have specific things that if a woman is, she's going to be disqualified from any of them liking her. Which is why it's hilarious that people sit here and try to run this other narrative of oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. I already said this is all the byproduct of taking one gender and pretending that if you have a uterus, you're like automatically this god among men. Because when you do that and you tell the other one, oh yeah, none of you are ever going to be able to reach the pinnacle that is her. Because we've explained this before. Even if you do any of the self-improvement stuff, they're still going to blame you if it doesn't work out. And they're still going to like expect you to do everything to try and appeal to this broad who doesn't have to do anything. So it all really is just a big scam. No, modern romance is a literal cancer on society. Like it's just a bunch of chicks wasting men's time and then other men harassing those same men if they're not able to get a woman to like them back, and then pretending that this specific guy is having this problem when there's a whole bunch of other men with the same issue. And like I said, people have legitimized absurdity. Like I still have the screenshot of the clown that wrote "approach 1,000 women," and I just thought to myself, isn't it sad that we live in an era where if you're a woman and you want a boyfriend, you can just walk down the street and have men try to speak to you, or go on a social media site and have like 10, 20, 30 guys send you a message without you even saying anything to them. But if you're a man, you're expected to approach several dozens or hundreds or 1,000 chicks just to get a date. Doesn't seem like it's worth it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just feels screwed up. I don't know. I always just think, like, if certain things are a little different, if you actually just meet someone and not have to play the same repetitive game every year. Because at the end of the day, I just like advancement. I just like it when you can see some kind of progression. That's why I'll get like really annoyed with YouTube, because it's just the same old stagnant stuff. You get a couple of views here. Some people leave some comments every like 10 videos, just, and I really think a lot about like all the different things we thought of doing as a like prospective parent that never come to fruition. Um, I don't know. I just can't look at something like that, right? A willingness to do something that is considered normal. There are a whole bunch of people that have children and never be allowed to do those things because you can't find a woman that reciprocates your romantic interest in her, and then be expected to not be pissed. That's why I said that if I wanted to make a million videos on how stupid I think modern chicks are and how similar they act, despite everyone saying they're so different, I should be able to. It's funny, you have people online who spend so much time trying to like convince you to forgive and forget. What does being bitter do for you? It's like, what does forgiving do for me? These people have done nothing to even remotely earn that. No, never let anybody tell you to get over something. If you feel like you've been wronged or done dirty, you should be able to be as upset over it as long as you want. There is no time limit on disposition. Just like one of the things I really hate is that you have a lot of people in real life and online where you try to like reach out to them and they never say anything back. Um, and actually, I was talking to someone last night who had the same experience where he's been off of Piscord for like a year, and he told me that people that are on his friend list will send him links to servers. I'm talking about, where they send you like a link to join some server that they made, but they never ask him, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you all right?" They never try to call, nothing. He said they act like bots. They act like those spam emails that tell you to click a link. I said, isn't it sad that we live in an era where people, their behavior doesn't even resemble human beings? Like, you see this person, you haven't said anything to them in a year, and the only thing you can do in their direction is to send them a link to some stupid server. I just thought that was really sad. But again, it all goes back to that lack of humanity of the modern person, and a really just an inability to treat another person with any sense of decency. That's how it could all be boiled down to. Because as bad as I think modern chicks are, like ones that are like 20 something, 30 something, um, I do think it's like a universal thing between both genders to just flake and do other weird stuff that would not be considered normal. Like in real life, I've never had someone where they just come up to my door and keep like dropping off, mail. Like they'll say hello, just some again, some common courtesy, like just that's why I said I always found it so difficult to accept the idea that this is some great era that we're supposed to actually think is decent. Because you look at the way people act, just small stuff. Like if I had a person who I hadn't spoken to in a year, and I apparently think they're active enough to want me to send them an invite, I would say, "How are you doing?" I would call them. Man, people online just do some of the most dirty, disgusting stuff. Yeah, I've thought about doing that video. It'll be called "Are All Modern Women the Same?" and just talk about how the thing about chicks in their 40s and 50s and 60s and just like going further up in the age bracket is that they lived an entire adolescence without the internet. And so because of that, they can walk away from it. They can not allow it to get to them. And it's really disturbing because it's I swear to you, for some reason, even chicks that are pushing into their early 30s, they can't not obsess over computers and like Instagram and all this other crap. And they all tell a common story of posting pictures of themselves, a lot of which I don't even think look that good, and having men come and try and speak to them and ask them out and all this other and it's like I was explaining that a woman in her 40s or 50s, like they were an adult when any of that computer stuff really explode. Like, yeah, social media's been around since the early 2000s, but it didn't really explode until like 2010, 11, 12. That's where you really start seeing people just post all this provocative crap on there. And I truly believe if that wasn't around, or at least if you didn't have 30 men trying to talk to one woman, this situation would not be as awful as it is. Tell you about that one dingbat on Piscord. She was like, uh, well, I know that online that trying to date someone online is even worse than trying to date someone in real life. I was like, no, it's just as awful. I only came online after I got sick of getting the same results in real life. They both suck. I just love it when there's like a really bad situation and it causes you to do something you don't even really want to do, like go online to try and meet some woman, and then people are like, "Well, you should have stayed to trying to do it in real life." It's like, we came out online out of pure desperation, out of getting this like just complete stagnant nothingness year after year. No, in that video, I'm going to talk about how I think a lot of these chicks are mentally ill or have some kind of screwed up wiring. Because it's like we talk about the examples, of having like some broad last year ask me out, and then over the course of a couple of weeks, she starts trying to reverse course and play the friend zone game. I'm just like, I can't imagine how any person who's not mentally ill would be able to ask out someone else, have that person say yes, and then try to I don't know what she was doing, like, hinder it by saying, "You want to get to know me first, and can I meet your parents just to go on a stupid date that if you don't even like, you never have to do again?" Like, I don't see how a rational thinking human being comes to those conclusions. I do see how an insane person comes to think that stuff. Yeah, I think a lot of modern chicks have something wrong with them. Like there's something with their wiring that causes them to do contradictory things. Um to where you can't take them seriously. Like literally when I hear a woman talk about, "Oh, I feel like I have a connection with you," and all I hear is that like honking clown noise because it means nothing. It's the same old repetitive stupid stuff that they try to convince you is different. They slap a new coat of paint on the same garbage car. So I said that stuff is just so obnoxious. Like, when does it end? Because like I said, the because of the just like years of the same garbage, you don't even like I'm telling you, when I picture romantic stuff with chicks, I don't even see like going on a date and getting married or any other thing that I used to believe in. Like now all I see is you go up to some woman, you say you like her, she says she's not interested, you have to go and start all over again. um, while being attacked by other men for your perceived failing, even though those pricks probably have only ever seen a vagina when they draw a picture of it on their hand. Like you just get tired of like the same old repetitive stuff. Because like I said, romance was supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable, and this is not good or something I look forward to in the slightest. Like it's very easy to just never ask out chicks if you know their patterns and you're like, yeah, even if this one says all this mushy crap about me, she's going to probably end up saying the same thing. I don't know, I just feel like the writing on the wall is obvious at this point. Like I remember I talked about there's this one chick that I've been speaking to since October. Maybe it's either October or September. But anyways, she is like it's funny, it's because I always try to say it feels like they're getting worse. I've been talking to this broad for like 7, 8 months. We haven't spoken every day. Sometimes we don't even speak. There's actually a whole month where we didn't say anything to each other because she just wouldn't reply. And that caused me to unfriend her. And to this day, she could never explain why she couldn't just say hello because, chicks are psychotic now. Um, I'm telling you, like she is proving to be even worse than chicks in the past because she won't do a call like a voice call. I said to myself, isn't it sad that like we live in an era where you like it's not only is it difficult to get a date, just impossible, right? Now it's difficult to even get someone to talk to you voice to voice. So I said chicks are just a weird group. And like I said, when I get to the point of just wanting to unfriend them and throw them away, cast them aside, it's because nothing is changing. There is no evolution or progression. It's just the same old crap. I told you could talk to one of these broads for 3, 4, 5 years, and you would still be friend zoned or barely responded to because they don't care. Seriously, you could look at the screenshots of messages I have with her from last month and look at the ones from 10 months ago or whatever, 7, 8, 9 months ago, whenever it was, October, September. There is no difference. It's still the same old, I don't want to do a VC, generic, hi, how are you? Crap. And it goes nowhere. She even says she has no expectations for how this is going to go. I was like, well, then that just goes back to my lack of interest in continuing this. So I'm probably gonna be done with her after maybe this month or next month. I heard this one chick, she's like, why can't we just be friends? Like I don't need female friends. I really don't. Yeah, the loudest ringtone ever. I apologize. That's not one of those things I can't control, but I get blamed for anyway. So you have to bear with me as we hear it over and over. Yeah, that stuff can get really annoying. Well, like I said, they do it to themselves because I don't know. I just have a hard time like figuring out what the point of this is. Like you can't get a date with them, so what purpose do they serve? Like what is the justification to even speak to any of them anymore? Seriously, like I don't know what else that you're supposed to even do with them. Like if you meet them in real life, they do this. If you meet them on the internet, they do this. So I just think talking to them is unless it's for a project or some other like goal defined thing, even they can mess that up too. I would just largely stay away from them. I'm telling you, man, every time somebody tries to say you'll meet someone or you'll find, I always laugh. Like this, we know at this late stage of the game that that is over. It's sad too because like they want us to believe in something that there's no reason to believe in. And I already said before that if you do meet some woman after you're like very you've proven to be successful, you always have to be mindful of what her intentions are. Because I've never seen chicks that suddenly are attracted to a man like I've never seen a man go from having chicks just completely ignore him to just all showering around him unless it's a bunch of gold diggers. That's why I said I've always thought like modern romance was garbage. And people don't see anything wrong with this. They really believe that a woman should just have all these men throw themselves at her as she complains about unwanted male attention. And a man should just be expected to go out and ask out a whole bunch of chicks that don't like him back, while being harassed by other men for his supposed failings. And that's why I said I can't believe people have legitimized this. They've made this seem like it's something good or worth putting up with. And I would say, let's be clear. Most chicks nobody's ever heard of. Most chicks don't have muscles. Most chicks don't have money. They are no better than you. The only reason chicks get a whole like don't have this issue is because of their gender. That's it. Which is why it's so funny that people try to sit here and look down on men like broads are this amazing and it's stupid too because they're basically saying that even if you get with one of them and if it doesn't work out they're going to blame you anyway because that's what their default mode is to just blame you for everything. Oh man, stomach is feeling better now. It's an unfortunate state of affairs. And like I said, I'm always amazed by how much like stock people put into someone saying something they don't like. You will die alone. I mean, I guess I'll take that over having kids I can't afford and destroying their lives, either by not being able to take care of them or by taking them to the chopping shop to be ripped out of some woman's uterus. Like, yeah, I'm sure that's a much more preferable fate for me. Tell you, dude, I'll never feel bad about any of this stuff because my rhetoric doesn't actually cause people to be harmed or any of the other stuff. That's why I was always so annoyed by those people that were trying to like associate me with the I words because it's like you really don't understand where I would not want to be affiliated with a group that is always mentioned in a negative manner. Like every single time it gets mentioned, it is negative. They're talking about uh misogyny and men that think they're owed something and they go out and do like who the hell, what rational human being would want to be but then I realized um this is not about, hey, does this person identify with this group? Do they say things that are similar to this group? It wasn't about that. It was about, well, you criticize chicks and the like very hard time you have with getting with them. So you must be part of this team of people that you've never affiliated with. Yeah, just complete brainlessness. I'll tell you, it'll always be sad to me that like if you're a woman and you can in a hypothetical, if a woman came online and complained about how hard it was to get a date with a man, nobody would say she's gonna shoot up a school or rape somebody or blow up a building. You know, none of this weird um violent predictions of chaos crap that these people like to pull out. But if you're a man and you simply say, "Hey, look, this is very difficult. I tried as hard as I could. You know, this person said this." You just sit there and calmly explain your disposition. You're going to molest someone. You're going to commit violence. And you're like, what the hell is wrong with you people? But it's so funny to think about like internet pricks and the fact that because they try to position themselves as these like psychologists, right? And I hate to break it to you, but a majority of men that get rejected by chicks do not do violent things to them. And it's really funny because my ultimate solution is just to leave them alone. Like just don't bother with them. But you guys act like that's a crime. It's like, excuse me for recognizing a very obvious pattern that any and even a blind man could see. Like, no, if they don't reciprocate ever, it's very obvious after what is it, however many years it's been that they're not going to. Which is why I said I can always confidently say they're not interested. And people still try to sell that crap of them being one day one of them. It's like who are you trying to get to believe this? Certainly not me. So yeah, I'd sooner believe in going to Mars than in going on a date with one of these chicks because they had their chance and they kept doing the same stupid thing. So I just got tired of it. It was so funny. I remember there was this one time I was talking to my best friend about there's some like some famous woman I thought was attractive, and I said to him, "Isn't it funny how like your chances of getting with a woman who is a celebrity are pretty much the same as getting with a woman that is like that nobody's ever heard of because of how much people hype them up and treat them like they're these gods among men." Because you really think about it, if I went and approached celebrity chicks and they didn't say anything to me or I got turned down, nobody would blame me. Nobody would say, if you had done, because they would recognize how difficult it is to get someone that's famous to pay attention to you or be interested in you in the first place, even notice that you exist. But it's really disturbing because a lot of regular modern chicks act like celebrities. When you talk to them and they say, "Oh, I couldn't respond to you. I have all these other people saying something to me," which has been something a few of them have said before. When they can't respond to you for a month, and it's like, "Oh, you're not famous. You're not this big shot that owns a company or is recording some album that's going to sell a million copies." It's so funny how we've gotten to a point where regular chicks really are treated like they have this higher status that they don't deserve. Seriously, I had one of these chicks on Reddit admit that she had 20 something men say something to her. I offered to walk away. I said, "Hey, look, I'm going to help clear the field." She said, "No, don't disappear." Cuz they like all that undeserved attention. The hell would I look like if I'm getting a few hundred views on YouTube, or I've got like a couple hundred followers on Instagram, and I got a whole bunch of chicks trying to send me DMs and talk to me and say, "How are you doing?" and "What's up?" and "Are you all right?" and "How is it over there?" And again, it's like, that's undeserved for someone that hasn't done anything. I guess my idea of like a perfect circumstance would be chicks maybe get a few guys that say some of them per year, but like that big chain of guys is just they're not interested. Like they'll actually just say, "Forget it, this doesn't work." Um, and then the chicks would actually approach men that they think are attractive, because I don't know why, because you're a man, I said before that like they have these gender roles while they're also trying to push feminism, and it doesn't they like contradict each other. We want things to be equal. That's why we expect the man to earn more and to approach us and to initiate a dialogue with us every time we speak. Yeah, we definitely want equality. They can't figure out what they want. No, I'm just tired of modern chicks. Like they are just a complete cancer on society. Like it's not even just like the like repetitive rejection stuff, even though that's annoying and that like stifles what you want to do. Um, but like you consider that were it not for modern chicks, there's a lot of attacks on me on a personal level that wouldn't have even happened. Like people don't come to a political video I do and go, "You're ugly." It's like, no, those are the romance guys. I hear you, dude. It also really doesn't help how many other people, including some family members, overvalue and portray females as an extremely pure, of high importance, being above all else. I told you, you can approach celebrity women and get the same result you would get from approaching a regular one. The only difference is it'll be harder to get a celebrity one to talk to you. But if you get turned down by one of them, or they don't respond, reciprocate, nobody is going to say, "Well, if only you had starred in several movies, she would have been interested." You think I'm playing? I will sooner go, like, if I ever approach chicks again, it's going to be only celebrities. You get at least if you get the result on that, nobody's going to try and say you need to improve and do all this other crap just to maybe go. Yeah, that's the only way I would start actively approaching women again, is if they're just celebrities, like they're all well-known, famous people. Because now chicks that have like 1,000 followers on Instagram think they're some big shot. Seriously, some of these regular chicks, if you talk to them, they sound like celebrities. "Oh, I couldn't respond to you because I was talking to all of these other people." And then a month goes by, you hear nothing from her, but she wants to talk to you. Yeah. Tell you, this is the hypocritical feminist era where they want equality when it's good for them, and they want unevenness when it's also good for them and it's inconvenient for you. People try to tell me that things are more fair, and you got a whole bunch of chicks turning down men. How screwed up is that? If you're a woman, you have 10, 20, 30 guys trying to talk to you. Sometimes not even showing your picture, but if you're a man, you'll be lucky if you meet one broad that asks you out or starts something. That's BS. Equality. And again, all the psychological analysis, and you're just like, this guy's worst sin is that he wanted a date and women didn't reciprocate. And instead of just saying, "Hey, man, that sucks. That's really annoying. I know other people that have had this same thing happen." You go, "Well, you seem to be someone that lacks introspection, and uh, you probably lack confidence." You're just like, Damn, all this over a woman you've never even met before, some random chicks that you don't know what's in their heart, you don't know what occurred. You just blindly launch into this attack on this guy it just feels really unwarranted. You're crying. That's one of the other things they like to say. This guy's crying about not having the it's like so if I sit here and explain why something has caused me to have discomfort or dissatisfaction, I'm crying. Not the guys who sit there and whine about how I won't take their advice and I should do X, Y, and Z according to no, they're not crying. Remember, if a woman comes on here and talks about how hard it is to get a man, nothing but sympathy. Oh, you poor thing. There's something wrong with these men. They don't recognize you for how good you are. But if you're a man, you might as well just screw off and die. I tell you, these people have really just they have created such an imbalanced system that it's not even funny. During my workplace, 2 chicks left a room. They spent 2 nights in and left the place in a tip. When we go to clean up, one of my work colleagues gets annoyed for a moment, but says it's okay because they're girls. They get to be slobs because they have vaginas. They get to be pigs because of their gender. I stayed at a motel once, and that was a well-documented thing on my channel. I had, like, some streams from there. When I left, that place looked just like it was before I even came. Nothing was disheveled or thrown out of place. I mean, I don't do that stuff. It's okay because they're girls. Dude, they can get away with anything, like I'm telling you, I don't know why this chivalry crap even is still a thing. Like, why do people feel like because you have a triangle between your legs, you should be able to do screwed up, messed up, jacked up things to other people and never have any accountability? God. Like I said, I'm just so tired of chicks. I'm tired of all the advantages they get. I'm tired of people attacking me over not having one of them romantically. Like it's really obnoxious. It just that's why I said it just feels like their whole existence is just to annoy men at this point. Because I told you the only guy I know that's my age that is with a woman is in real life is the dingbat with the baby's boyfriend. And I mentioned before, he only stays with her because he genuinely believes he can't get anybody else. And if I were to consent to that, it wouldn't be me attacking him or criticizing him or saying he is not good enough for no, it would be because there might be some validity to that. I mean, when there was cheating going on, it was her that was doing that because the woman always has a whole bunch of different options with guys and men. So I don't put it past her to, cheat again or for him to actually believe, yeah, I have to stay with this cheating vampire that drains my resources and gave me a kid that I didn't want. Yeah. Is just think of how screwed up that is. Like the only couple I know that's the same age as me is a guy that got treated like trash by this woman who agreed to date him even when he was helping her, then cheated on him, and then had his kid, and now he stays with her because he thinks he can't be with anyone else. That's the only couple I've seen that's my age in real life. What a great example. So I said modern romance is such a joke. Like it's a parody of itself. It's an unsustainable system. And that's why I said, like, at least, I was explaining to this guy, I said, surrogacy is expensive as hell, but there's a clear pathway. If you have enough funds to do this, you can have a kid. You don't have to have a girlfriend or a wife or any of the other ridiculous female consent crap. You can do this. Same thing with adoption. You fill out some paperwork. You check out as a good, suitable parent that can take care of it. They'll give one to you. With hookers, you pay a price and they tell you up front, I do this, I don't do that. You'll get what you want. It's only with regular chicks, with pretty much any time you show interest in them, where there's like this rigid, never ending cycle of, will she like this? Does she like that? Should I send her you just get sick of the overthinking stuff and like always getting the same result and you don't know what they like because they don't even know what they like. So you just say the hell with it. I just remembered those times of so many times being told that chicks don't like any mess and how they are so clean and everything when he told me that. And oh, yes, that's really messed up. It's funny. They always have these like stereotypes of both genders where they say that men are like the disheveled ones who don't clean up after themselves. Like, how they say that men leave the toilet seat up and the woman puts it down. Like, it feels like I'm always in the reverse of that because I always put it down just because I don't like it's just my personal preference, right? Just I put it down because I don't really like that stuff like when it's up. But anyways, what's funny is that there are a lot of like gross chicks, like as in they'll like remember I mentioned before they don't take out the trash, they'll leave like stuff over the place. Like I don't know where people get these archaic views, but they're just not practiced in reality. Like, and that's why I said a lot of modern chicks just to me seem like a failed experiment. They benefit from social media, but they're like a really obnoxious group of people because they have no ability to commit to anything, which is why you can have one who will sit there and tell you how interested she is in talking to you, and then like a week later say, I'm good. Like they're that's why I mentioned that to me, there doesn't appear to be any incentive to still speak to them because if they're going to accuse you of just wanting to talk to them for the purpose of having intercourse, why not just go talk to a hooker? And if you're going to be attacked by men for your perceived inability to get with them, why bother? So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You talk to them, they waste your time. You don't talk to them, people attack you for not talking to them. Like I said, I'm just tired of modern chicks. Like they're just an annoying group that never you see no progression. I told you when one of them has a kid, it's always by accident. And it's never with the guy they're married to. And if you talk to them, they sit there and they have these like never ending back and forths that don't go anywhere. You could speak to them for 2 months, for 5 months, and you're like, what the hell is this? Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at, the stereotypes. Well, don't believe them. Just like when these chicks are on here telling you about men only want to speak to us for intercourse. Do you really believe any of those heifers actually sit like if they have a boyfriend or some guy that they like, they just go to their house and sit there holding hands and just talk to each other? You really think that? Tell you don't buy into the propaganda. They love having intercourse. That's why so many of them get pregnant by accident. God, they act like the Virgin Mary. They just wake up, they have a big stomach. No, you You get knocked up when you keep screwing over and over with no protection. That reminds me, I do need to see your most recent video on that topic. I've not finished watching it properly. Well, I hope you like it. I'm just saying, don't buy into the stuff that people tell you about chicks. Women don't like this. They don't know what they like. So historically, chicks have dated every type of screwed up, evil man you can consider, and they're gonna sit here and tell you that your personality. I even said to this one broad, "You are indirectly saying I'm worse than Hitler," because you're gonna tell me that me saying the B word, which everybody says, is like this big detriment that doesn't allow me to date chicks. Like this supposed this thing that stops me. You're saying that me saying a commonly used term of profanity is worse than killing people. Because, like I said, there are multiple serial killers and murderers that have had wives or had some woman show interest in them after they found out they killed a bunch of people. So it's just a really stupid when people pretend that chicks have these standards. Like, no, the only reason a bunch of men don't get reciprocation from chicks is because of how many damn options they have. You have a bunch of chicks who are scared out of their minds to ask out a man, which means that men in general will never have a woman like actually come up to them and say, "Hey, I like you back." Which is why every time these guys tell you chicks will start approaching, it's crap. It's like a fairy tale. Um, and then you have a bunch of chicks who get loads of men throwing themselves at them at once. So if you're a man, you have nothing to gain in this circumstance. What, you want to join some woman's harem and be one of the 15, 20, 30, 40 guys she's talking to? You want to go online and admit that you've had a problem with this stuff and get attacked when you know damn well if you were a chick, nobody would be saying a single negative word about you over this? I tell you, chicks don't get made fun of for being pure. Like you find out some woman's a virgin, you say, "Wow, she really is saving herself for a man that will treat her well and that she can believe in." But if you're a man, when's the last time you got some? That's what they do. Now, every time I think about approaching chicks again, I always remember how many guys is this one talking to? How many guys is that one talking to? Seriously, I'm not interested in being part of another harem. I'm not. I don't want to ever do that again because she'll make the one talent that chicks have is faking it. Like they're really good actors. They can sit there and make it seem like they're so interested in you and you're so important to them and they feel this immense. But it's not real. I told you that same broad that sat there and said that we were friends and she considered me a friend. She went to some other state and for a whole month didn't say a word to me. I didn't do anything to upset her, and then made the dumbest excuse on planet Earth. I had people there, and they like to ear hustle. Yeah, I have people here that ear hustle too. That's why when I call somebody, I go and walk down the street. So many freaking people make a weird sexual comments towards you and then act like you're not supposed to say anything about it. Dude, the screwed up part, we probably get more sexual harassment from men than chicks do at this point. Like I could do my own Me Too case. Imagine me doing like a Me Too documentary. I get like some really HD camera, and I'm just like, so I was on YouTube, and I was just talking about how hard it was to get a date, and these men came over and they started writing these creepy, weird, bizarre, homoerotic comments about me and how they didn't think I was pretty enough for them. The screwed up part is we would if we did make like that type of parody video, we would have more proof than like a majority of the Me Too accusers. Like we have all the screenshots, all the weird stuff these guys type. I mentioned before that's one of the problems people have, that they think they can do whatever they want to, and then they expect to be able to control how you respond to it. Like if I go and talk to somebody, some woman on Discord, right, and she upsets me, and then we stop speaking because she chooses to say, I don't think we should talk anymore. Ironically enough, usually now it's me that just says forget it. Um, and I make a video, and I have like screenshots for messages, but I like cut out her name, and I'm like, hey, there was this one broad I met like a week ago. Oh my god, I can't believe you made a video about me. It's like the video is just talking about this situation. Nobody knows who you are. No, like one of the main reasons I always leave out the person's name, if it's someone I spoke to, that is like a person that I interacted with, on a friendly level, not like a random person on YouTube that left a comment, is because no one I talk to is even remotely worth putting the name of on here. Like, oh, this person said this. You'd be like, who the hell is that? Let me show you, let me expose Butt Muncher 45. I'm just saying these people aren't even worth like actually putting their name up and trying to like say this person has been exposed. Like there no one even knows who this is. No, that whole like romance saga is just, and like I said, I've never been bothered to actually tell anybody not to do it because I don't think it's my place. But I told my best friend, I said, hey, look, you do what you want, but if you ever feel like you're sick of this stuff, as you have felt multiple times in the past, just know I'm here for you. And like he was telling me about how he was thinking last year he was gonna finally stop talking. I was like, if you get to a point where you feel like when you leave your house and you go out and try to talk to some women that you're gonna get the same result that you would if you just sat on your couch, that's when you know. Seriously, every time somebody says one of them will eventually come around, it is like a parody. Like I feel like I'm watching like a spoof. It's like Wild Coyote and the Roadrunner. It's like, I'm gonna get him this time. Or Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. Or when they used to say that the American dollar was going to collapse, and every year it stays the same. God, that chick stuff is just, it's like I laugh about how bad it is, but it really is sad in a way that they turned a whole gender of people into just a complete waste of time for the other one. And I'm sure somebody will say, "Oh, my friend has a girlfriend." Yeah, good for your friend, but the rest of us, because that's going to be the conclusion I reach in the video, that well, I would not say all modern chicks are the same. Too few of them are different for it to make a difference. So I would say that for every like 9 chicks that'll sit there and waste your time, there's maybe like one that won't do that. Like it's a very small number. The one person trying to actually change things and change their situation is the reason for why things stay the same. You are in control of what others decide. So yeah, they make me sound like a fiction writer. How is this rational thinking? It's not. It's rational when you want to blame the man for everything. Tell you that's why when for at some point I'm gonna draw a picture of myself being hung from a cross, like just like literally crucified, right, with the little nails in my hands, and that's gonna be like the new picture for every romance video because like that's literally how I feel. You get blamed for everything. If a woman doesn't want to have a call with you, you get blamed for that. If a woman doesn't want to go on a date with you, you get blamed for that. If a woman doesn't like men, you get blamed for that. You know what I mean? Like everything is your fault. Women are to blame for nothing. They're just these darling angels who could never be criticized because they're all so perfect. And by the way, because of how perfect they are, you shouldn't even bother approaching them anyway. Because what they're always going to say no anyway, regardless, because they think they're so much better than you and everybody else. Yeah, the only way I would actually believe like in something with a woman being different is it'd have to be like an extremely rare circle, like something you've never seen before. Like she approaches you, she asks you on a date. Um, what else? She doesn't beg you for money, doesn't try to ask you to make a cameo in a video or a shout out. That's probably the only time I could consider, hey, maybe this is not going to end up, but that still is so unlikely to happen. So like that's why I said that even if I admitted that that could happen, I doubt it ever will. Because again, they've had years to show themselves. They don't. Out of your league, silly type stuff they usually say. Oh, all of them are out of your league. Every last one of them, because they're all God's gift to mankind. Yeah, very unlikely to the point it is near impossible. I'm just explaining to you that if I could point to several things that were variances from what we've seen in the past, then maybe I could get optimistic or at least kind of start to think this could change, like in that specific instance. But as they stand, they're just the same old thing repeatedly. Dude, people just act nasty nowadays, especially women. Well, that's the thing. It's not even chicks that are. Think how crazy it is. You get rejected by chicks, and then it's a bunch of random guys that come and try to argue with you and debate you and fight you over. It's like, what is this? They should have no premium in this. They should have no involvement. But for some reason, they're trying to like stick themselves in the middle of this. So it kind of reminds me of how we've had two broads, the one from a few months ago and then the one from a couple years ago, who tried to debate me on my romantic views. And I was just like, why do you care? This has nothing to do with you. Like if you're not attracted to me and you are like what do you get out of this? But see, that's why I told you that there's something wrong with chicks because they get invested in stuff that they shouldn't even care about. That'd be funny if I actually like got recordings of both of them and I put them on DVD and it's called like debating dingbats on on love or on romance or something. Dude, that would be really crazy if that's like an accolade. Like my romantic life is so important that people have written like hundreds and hundreds of comments about it, and I've had at least two different chicks try to debate me on the merits of why I should still speak to chicks or be done with them. You know what I mean? Like how weird that is. Like they act like my romantic life is this serious issue to the point where they're like creating these circumstances and examples and scenarios and plans of action. I'm just like, go away. I remember how guys get called thirsty for approaching or attempting to talk to a chick, but if their same but in their same breath are saying that guys in general with this problem lack confidence, you can't be both. You're so unconfident, that's why you don't have a girlfriend, but then you're confident enough to be the one that goes up. Remember, chicks never have anyone cast aspersions on their personality. Plenty of chicks don't approach. Nobody calls them pussies or says that they're cowards and they're wimps. I don't know what's so difficult about approaching. Like you just go up, you say to someone, "Hey, can I get your number? How are you?" Et cetera, et cetera. Like the only reason I don't do it anymore is because I genuinely don't believe it makes a difference. But some of these chicks really do seem like they're gonna have a heart attack, if they go up and say something to a man that they think is attractive. And that's another thing, man. Like I don't even consider attractiveness an important thing anymore because I've had multiple chicks say they thought it was attractive and they still turn you down. So even physical appearance really doesn't matter. That's why I said that, like, to me, there's something wrong with them. There's something in their brains that doesn't work. Because we're not talking about you go up to some woman, you ask her on a date, she says no, and then whatever. We're talking about chicks who will sit here for weeks or months, gassing you up, and then nothing comes out of it. Not to mention that there is proof of chicks saying how they are terrified and scared of talking to a guy they even find attractive themselves. That's why I said physical appearance doesn't matter. You could be look, just from their perspective, the hottest man on earth. You could be on what's that magazine, the sexiest men of of the year, or sexiest man, whatever that title is from People magazine. You could have all kind of accolades. Chicks will still not approach you because they don't approach men. Period. Do yourself a favor. Next time you see some woman and you feel like you don't have to like do it if you don't want to, but just like out of curiosity, ask her, "Hey, have you ever asked out a man that you thought was attractive?" I guarantee you, she says no, and if she doesn't, she's lying. When's the last time you saw a woman go up to you and say, "How you doing?" and "What's up?" Never, probably. Joe says yes, or apparently how it's creepy and desperate for a man to approach an attractive woman you barely know, but yet it's somehow normal to rate strangers on online dating profiles. Yeah, it's creepy to talk about how attractive a woman is in real life, but it's not creepy to to go on a dating profile and be like, this person is a 2 out of 200. Dude, physical attraction does not matter. If you saw some of the crap, like you either have to be cynical and say they were lying, or admit that physical attraction doesn't matter because you can still get rejected by chicks that claim they think you look good. It doesn't matter. And that goes back to why I think something's wrong with them. If you meet a man that you think is, like, just hypothetical, if you met a woman that you thought was funny, that you thought was physically attractive, you just enjoyed being around, you thought looked good, and you still reject or turn down this person, there's something wrong with you. Like, you'd have to be a complete idiot. And that's why I think some of these chicks are, because of the stuff they say and do. No, man, I could never like understand that. You think if I saw some attractive woman, I'd be like, uh, she's very hot, and she also doesn't beg me for money, and I really enjoy being around her, but I I just would rather be friends. I don't think it could work. So that stuff really does piss me off. Because I told you that there's nuances to this situation. It's not just some guy that got rejected over and over making video. It's literally they will say anything and everything and then contradict it like very quickly. And that's why you can't take them seriously. That's why I don't believe in like ever meeting someone that I actually dated and had a because even the ones that claim they like you still do this. Just total buffoons. Yeah, it's so weird how aggro random men will act aggressive random men will act toward you over dating. So much strange homoerotic subtext there. Dude, though you know what? The sad part is if it was chicks doing that, you would not see me complaining at all. Like if someone was like, you stop speaking to us, or we don't need you anyway. Like at least that would make a little bit of sense. And this is when a lot of people who weren't there start whipping up some fan fiction. You probably did this. You probably did that. Anything we can say to defend the dingbat. And begin to think critically about any possible external factors to justify a chick's objectionable, ridiculous actions. Yeah, Tell you, if a man did this stuff, he would get lampooned, or people would say, "What's wrong with him?" A masculine can't get a break from women or society as a whole. Oh yeah, they hate men. They don't want to admit it, but they really do not like men. That's why you get all this over analysis. That's why you have people who try to tell you that there's something wrong with you if you don't want to bother with chicks anymore, even if you have all the reasons in the world for why this stuff was not good when you did it. Yeah, they just want men to be miserable. That is their number one goal. They want you to be miserable. They want you to hate yourself. To hell, I showed the screenshot in the video where the guy said, "Go kill yourself." So this is the ultimate fate they want for men. They like seeing us in bad states because it's part of their idea that chicks are supposedly doing something good or improving, but they're not. No, this stuff is just so sad, man. Like there are so many nuances to it and people don't even consider. They just sit there and give you a character assassination and tell you that you must have done it. And it's just like so narrow-minded, for no reason. You were unattractive to chicks. Yeah. Apparently so is every damn other man that is on here. God, I think it's really sad. Yeah, there are so many nasty, hateful women out there. What's worse is that these women will act as though their hate towards men is morally righteous. It's really funny that people like I told you that I've never really cared that much about misogyny. Like I don't think all chicks are the same, and I don't try to like say they all are, but there are a lot of chicks online who speak just as disparagingly of men as they say men speak of chicks. But the reason that no one goes after them or like condemns them and says, "Hey, this is a hate group," is because again, feminist society. So they're able to couch their disdain and their rhetoric into this idea of like, "Hey, men deserve it. Look at all the bad stuff they've done in the past." That's their way of justifying it to themselves. I can speak degradingly and very nasty about a bunch of men I've never met before because ones in the past were bad. Told you that the only thing that men do that's worse than chicks objectively is like we're more prone to violence. Like that's a fact that there are more men that do violent stuff. Again, don't let anyone convince you that chicks don't do screwed up stuff as well. Don't allow anybody to trick you into that. So the only reason they don't get rejected as often as we do is because thanks to the desperation of men from having no chicks almost ever say anything to them, they get like a whole bunch of even if they're not even that hot, a whole bunch of guys like trying to talk to them at once. But they're not smarter. A lot of them don't own anything. No one knows who most of them are. They're no better than you or I. The only reason they get valued more is because of what's in between their legs. I agree with you. Society wants to see heterosexual men self-destruct. Well, society is really stupid because it's killing itself. You know what's really funny? So I was thinking about this, like just really kind of thinking about. It. I said, it's funny. Regular chicks are for me actually worse than any racist organization. like regular chicks are worse than the Klan because like the Klan doesn't want blacks to procreate and like make more. And that's what regular chicks are doing to me. So like they're fulfilling their wishes. And yeah, I don't have a problem associating them with racism because people associate me with terrorism, even though I've never actually said anything about committing violence ever. So you know, I don't feel bad about like linking them to that because that you know that's what people do. They link you to stuff that you have nothing to do with. So you get what you gave. If you didn't give nice, you're not going to get nice. No one likes admitting that they're a bad person. They need to weaponize a victim narrative to justify being a toxic, hateful, and bitter person. Yeah, because it's convenient for them to sit there and try to frame themselves as having undergone some type of like really harsh some hardship that makes everyone around them say, okay, this person that's really nasty, that's saying all this gross, hateful stuff. It's okay. Look at their tragic backstory. Tell you, man, like I don't understand this at all. They act so unnecessarily ridiculous, and people legitimize it. Like just to get a date, people expect you to ask out dozens and hundreds of chicks to sign up to all these stupid dating websites, to undergo some radical financial and physical transformation. And I don't every time I look at that, I'm like, this is not worth it. This is not something that is sustainable. Most people, I know for a fact, are not rich. So why the hell do you have to be rich to go on a date with a woman who probably doesn't have a pot to piss in? Why do you have to have status to go on a date with a woman that nobody ever heard of? Like that's weird. Yeah, but they are extremely quick to want to point out any possible negative traits a guy may portray or perceive to exhibit, but they never point out any negative traits of chicks, even though their actions certainly speak for themselves. Like, I don't know anyone who would say having children you didn't want by accident is like a person who thinks ahead of time and is like very knowledgeable and does like who can defend that? Modern chicks can. She probably had a hard life. Like watching 10-minute clip videos of a guy who's just discussing his experiences with shit. Yeah, they can find all these flaws in you because they don't know what a public persona is. They don't know that some people can actually be different online than they are in real life. You know, it's really funny. Like no one would ever justify something as heinous as a murder just because the murderer had a bad childhood. That bad childhood didn't make them stab that person 45 times. I'm just really tired of tragic backstories. Like if you do something screwed up, that should be it. Why do we need to learn about your past and how your dad wouldn't pee when you were around because you weren't worth the piss? I don't care. Like just condemn it, you know? Like if a modern woman that you want to go on a date with turns you down, and then you're like, wow, that was really stupid. You shouldn't say, I wonder if her father played an active role in her upbringing. Who cares? He didn't make her say no to you. She did. I know one chick whose mother killed herself. It's like that's sad, but it doesn't mean you have to act like a prick. We all have lost something. But you don't. It doesn't automatically mean you get justified for doing screwed up stuff to people, for wasting people's time, for treating them poorly. I don't know why that's considered something that's okay because as long as you have some sad Naruto esque backstory that we can look at and infer. This person had a hard life. They had a really sad upbringing. I agree with what you say. I've seen this a lot in my personal life. I remember this one guy was like, when you learn about someone's past or their reasons for for viewing something the way that they do, it can help you better understand why they feel the like. I don't want to understand. I don't want to understand why you treat another person like garbage. I don't understand why you have some insane people who think that if somebody gets raped, they should have to have the baby of the rapist. I these are views that I don't care to know the backstory of because it doesn't matter. It's a weird view to me. Like, not I'm sorry, but I just don't think it's necessary to have to sit here and listen to tragic past and sad stories, to like still walk away from it thinking, yeah, this view you have is still messed up. You're like, it's just a big waste of time. No, the modern romance is awful. That's why I get so frustrated when people root for the villain in a story. I had a girl tell me she roots for the villain because being the hero is boring. Yeah, more like being a villain is psychotic is the reason she roots for the villain because she has all kind of weird fantasies about killing people too. I already said before, if there's like a story where the hero is like this jerk and the villain's kind of like got some redemptive parts to him, I can but like when we were talking about the chick that said that about the slash movie, it's like you've got a guy who is evil just to be evil that's killing a bunch of innocent people who haven't done anything to like I'm sorry, I don't understand what there is to root for. You can watch it, you can be entertained by it, but I don't get where you would like support this, like, yeah, I hope all these innocent people die. Like the hell? I tell you, a lot of these chicks are psychotic, but it doesn't matter because broads get away with everything. They get away with treating men like crap. They get away with saying stupid stuff because as long as you have a vagina, you can just do whatever you want, pretty much. You can treat people poorly. You can say weird things. That plot armor is really strong. Oh yeah, I remember you discussing that person. She was weird and psychotic. I told you that she blocked me after I said, "Hey, it's been a month we haven't spoken. Are you do you just not want to speak anymore?" Like it was the most subdued, like direct line of questioning I've ever done with anybody, and like I was shocked. I was like, really? That caused her to cast me aside? Are you serious? Wow. I whatever. She's just another one of these stupid hoes in a computer that pretends to be interested in somebody for like 2 seconds and then makes 900 excuses for why they can't talk to you. So being a good person is boring. That's very telling about their own moral character. Well, good people don't all have to be the same. I mean, you have some good people that would kill. You have some other good people who wouldn't. You have a lot. You have some good people. Like one of the reasons Fantastic Four got off the ground back in the '60s was because people really like the bickering. Like they're good guys, but they don't always agree with each other. They all have their own different point of view. Like it. I just think that that's such a narrow-minded position to take because there have been pinnacles of storytelling that show you can have complexities in characters that have the same alignments. So that was just a stupid thing that that person said. Being good is boring. No, talking to these chicks is boring. I want to fall asleep. You're in the friend zone when she tells you her tragic backstory. That's a sign for me to end all contact with her. Dude, I wish I could make a list of like all the different chicks where they told me some sad thing about their past. Like the one that told me that her dad died when she was 15, and then another one said that like it's just it never stops. And I always say to myself, what is the point of telling me this? Because remember, you know how modern chicks are. They're flaky. They'll get rid of you after a few weeks. So why Why let someone know all this stuff about your personal past if you're going to ditch them or get rid of them after a couple of weeks anyway? Yes, exactly. He encountered chicks who actually say having like a husband is boring if they haven't gone to prison or committed some crime or such. I read it wrong. I've encountered chicks who actually say having a husband is boring if they haven't gone to. Well, that's why I said that when people tell you about you need to do this, you need to do that, and all this stuff about being this like perfect man to get with this woman. I mean, you had we. Does anybody remember the one guy that had his mugshot go viral on the internet, and all those thirsty chicks were beaten off to seeing his picture? Like that guy didn't have a dollar in his pocket, and people are gonna sit here and tell you that you need to be rich to go on. Get me out of my. Just go away. Just leave. Just leave. I can't remember what that guy's name was, but there was a guy whose mugshot went viral, and then when he got out of prison, he went to jail for some old gang crap. He got a license. He got signed to some company as like a model. But yeah, when he was in jail, he didn't have a dollar in his pocket, and all these chicks were beaten off. And yeah, that one, yeah. And again, I always think of that anytime somebody starts saying, "Get your money up, make more money, own this, buy that." Like, get out of my face! What a joke! Now, all this romance advice has someone or something that has shown it doesn't matter. That guy proved that you don't have to have money to get a bunch of chicks interested in you at like any of it at all. Um, and like I said, it's just and the other part is he's not even like at least when chicks start going like over a famous man, you can say, okay, well, that's someone who's got like this built up status. Nobody knew who that was. I mean, what it like I told you every time someone tells you these definitive things about if you don't improve in this type of way, you will never meet someone. Don't buy it. No, if you don't meet someone, it's because chicks act all the same, and you're in an era where that's where you unfortunately will fall victim to their refusal to ever do anything different. But as far as any of that stuff with finances is concerned, that one particular instance shattered a lot of expectations you could have for these modern chicks. Yeah, heroes are often morally complex, but in general, they're morally correct as opposed to the villain. Just because the villain is charming doesn't mean they're suddenly right. Well, I can see where someone will like a villain, but I don't know why you would root for them. Sometimes a villain charm is a mask for how buck wild crazy they are. Yep. Like I like Vader. He's one of the most iconic villains ever. I don't root for him to turn his son into carbonite. I sure as hell wasn't rooting for him when he cut Luke's hand off. Like I you know what I mean? Like who even sits there and is that's why I said I don't liking someone and some and like rooting for them, I just think are two different things, and one of them goes a little too far. And they'll always say it's just a story. It's just fiction. It's like, yeah, but fiction shows us where your mind is. Like if I write a whole bunch of stories and they always end with all the good guys dying in horrible ways, you're like, what the hell do you have against good people if you keep killing them off in these like graphic, disgusting, like moody, tirades, you know? Yeah, I'm just saying that it can be very reflective when a chick finds a villain so charming or enticing. Yeah. But like I said, there's been a whole bunch of villains I like, but that doesn't mean I want them to win. All right, tell you that chick lost her mind a long time ago, and I'm not in the business of trying to help her get it back because it's not even worth it. You can like a villain without wanting them to win. Yeah. So I told you, people on here are just psychotic. They just say whatever. Dude, we already know what the difference is between us and her. She's just another one of these weird people on the computer. That's all it is. I'm sure if we had spoken longer, she would have started telling me about her tragic backstory. Oh, I work 50 hours a week. Yeah, whatever. So everybody's got a tragic past. They have all these sad sagas. I already said before, if I ever feel like just exposing a bunch of tragic past stuff, I'm not gonna say it in the call. I'll just write a autobiography. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sitting here and just like keep trying to give all these examples of stuff. It's not worth it. Mm. Man, after this stream, I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm hungry. It's when you start the stream with a stomach ache, and then by the end of it, you want something to eat. No, this chick stuff is just a literal cancer on modern society. And like I said, if they were talking about famous chicks like this, I would completely be on their side. I would say, "Yep, that one's out of my league. That one's out of my league." But random chicks nobody ever heard of, getting 30 guys to talk to her at once. To hell with that. I said before, the problem is that most of them won't tell you that they're talking to other men, which is why I said that it can be very like a lot of men will feel bad the first time they get turned down or like multiple times, but they don't know that there's external factors that are out of their control. It's just a huge failure. This whole saga is proof of that. Well, you get what I'm saying? That like there's external factors that can screw you up with a woman that you have no control over. But a lot of these romance people will never acknowledge it because that would mean like actually thinking about this stuff critically, which they have no interest in doing. They just want to have these insta fix solutions. So they'll never mention like, hey, this woman was talking to 20, 30 guys at once, or hey, she isn't even that great herself. You know, they'll never get brought up. They'll pretend all these chicks are the most amazing thing ever, and you should do everything you can to appeal to them. And if you can't, then there's something wrong with you. Just and you get tired of that because it's it's funny. They're like they try to say you lack confidence, but then they're the ones saying this is all hopeless for you unless you do my stuff. It's like no, you're the biggest downer out of everybody when you assert things like that. I don't know how anybody looks at this situation and says it's good. That's a hell of a stretch. Like you have to be a real good spin artist to be like, this is so good. I can see where a woman thinks this is good because she doesn't have to put up with any awful stuff besides. And that's another thing, like them sitting there and pretend to be victims when men say something to them, like, "Oh my god, men asked me out." Ugh. Well, then just say no. One of the I'm saying just say no, and it's like it's Nancy Reagan's birthday in like 2 days. But anyways, one of the funny parts that I mentioned was that like I can't feel any sympathy towards chicks who complain about unwanted male attention when they're online because, as far as I know, there's no job that makes you have a Facebook or a Twitter or Instagram or any of these other sites. So they do it to themselves. Like they have any interactions are from like them coming on here and putting themselves out there. Every time you have if unwanted attention was so bad for them, they would just get off of these sites. They would say, "Hey, look, too many men are sending me messages. I'm done." But they don't, and they won't. That's why I said that I don't believe them when they try to, because You can't control the ones in real life, but you can control the ones in the computer. No, you've had people who really were sick of the internet get off. Like I remember the actress that plays Rey in Star Wars. I think it was a Daisy Ridley. Yeah, Daisy Ridley. That she left Instagram for like 2 or 3 years, and then I remember Elizabeth Olsen left. I think it was Instagram. I think it was all social media like at the same time after people were screwing with her because she wouldn't say anything about Chadwick Boseman's passing. So there like people who are like determined to just get away from harassment and constant messages that they don't like, they'll get off of there. But these chicks, they love the attention. They're like, yes, more of it. And then they like to sit there and play victim and pretend that this is like so bothersome, but it's not. So it's just it's another one of their little scams that they're trying to run, but it's not going to work. Anyways, I'm gonna get off of here. I'm going for almost 2 hours. Um, Thanks Megumi, thanks Akatsuki Merchant, the other two people, and I'll be doing another stream. If not on Thursday, then definitely on Saturday. So thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your 4th of July.